Hi, welcome to my channel. Let's learn together how to create a simple toon shader including with the outline like this from the basics to more advanced techniques. It also have the setting to adjust the base color, the brightness color, and even the outline thickness. The best part is that the outline thickness is also reacting and affected by the light source, and making it look more dynamically and better looks. There are also settings to control outline opacity. Change the outline color, change the highlight color, and control the highlight intensity as well. I created all of this just using a simple node setup. I will explain it step by step and making it easy to follow. So let's get started. I will begin with this mesh. I've switched to rendered view. I have eyes texture and around already set in place, and I've set up 2 light sources in the scene as well. Vertical split into second screen. Open up shader editor. Select the mesh and let's create a new material. I rename it as body. Delete the principled BSDF node. Create diffuse BSDF node. Create shader to RGB node. Create color ramp node. And create mix color node. And this is the set of basic toon shader before we go more advanced later. Plug each of them like this except mix color node. Press Shift Ctrl plus left click to automatically plug the pointed mouse cursor node to the material output. Set the color ramp type to constant. Adjust the color and add another color step to make it a 3-step color gradient. I used a grayscale color gradient, transitioning from bright to dark. Now let's use the mix color. Set the mix color to lighten and set the factor to full 1. Plug the color ramp to the mix color node first slot. And plug it to material output as well. If I try to change the color of this mix color, it will only affect the shadow color and also control the shadow intensity. Press Ctrl plus J to frame the node, and press N to open up N panel. I renamed the frame to shadow intensity to make it easier to identify and manage. Create another mix color node. Set factor to full 1 and choose the type multiply. Let's try adjust the color. As you can see, this mix node will become the base color controller. With this setup, you don't have to adjust all color steps on color ramp node every time you want to change the color. Instead, you can simply adjust this one single mix node to change the base color. I will frame this node and give name base color. For easier to organize and manage, let's group these 3 nodes into a single frame and name it base. Next step is create the highlight color. First let's create a color ramp below base node group. Plug the shader to RGB node to the new color ramp node and plug it to material output by Shift Ctrl plus left click. Choose the constant type and place the white color to the center. Now, I'll briefly show that both of the lights in the current condition are affect the lighting on the mesh. To create a highlight, the trick is to separate the lighting from the 2 light source. One light source will later be used as a highlight, and one as a base color light source. And to separate these 2 light source we need a node called a separate color node. Plug shader to RGB node to the separate color node. Plug the green slot into the color ramp. And we'll save the red slot later for the base color group node. Now change one of the light color to green color. Let's move the light around. As you can see, the green lights still light up the mesh, and on other light actually still light up the mesh as well. This is because the second light's color is still white, which is a neutral color. If we change it to another color, it will no longer light up the mesh except use the same green color. I will set second light color to red color to make it remain highlight, which is from the green light. And this happens because we're using the green slot of the separate RGB node on the highlight color ramp node. To control the highlight color, create a mix color node and use multiply type. Plug the color ramp to the mix color first slot and plug it to the factor slot as well. Plug it to material output by Shift Ctrl plus left click. Now this mix color node will be highlight color node controller. For now, I will just use pure white color as the highlight. And group these to one framing and name it highlight. Now it's easier to identify which one highlight group and which one base group. Time to plug red slot to base group node. For this time, Let's use the base group as the preview without the highlight. The base color is currently only affected by the red light as what we want. This is because it's connected to the red slot of the separate RGB node. And the green light will not affecting the base color anymore, but only the highlight. Next, I'm going to make the base color and highlight appear at the same time. And to do that, we need another mix color node. Plug the highlight group to the second slot. Plug the base color group to the first slot. Set the factor to full 1, and choose the add type. Plug it to material output, and now, the highlight and base color appear at the same time. And if we try to moving the light, we can see the green light color only affecting the highlight, while the red light color only affecting the base color, and this is what we want. Now frame this mix node and I will name it Apply Highlight. This is the trick of using separate color node to split the red light color and green light color to control the base color and highlights separately. And don't worry about the actual color of the lights in the scene, as I will use another mix color node to control the actual light color. Create another mix color. Let's frame it by press Ctrl+J and I name it Light Color. Plug the previous mix color node to the new mix color node, and plug the node into the material output node. Set it to multiply type, and factor to 1. And as the result, any color we choose will affect both the base color and the highlight color. So, this node color has become the light color controller. Now, let's take a look here. There's a little problem with the eye texture. It's got a reddish effect. This is because it's being affected by the red light as well. And I set up this situation on purpose, so I could show you how to fix if there is a textures that are affected by red or green lighting with simple way. This is the image texture of the eyes. Let's create an emission node. Plug image texture to emission node, and plug it to material output. Delete the principal BSDF node. And now, the eye texture is no longer affected by the red light. And I will apply the same thing to the other objects as well. If there's no texture map, the emission color will be used instead of it. Next, I will apply a white color to this white area of the eyes. Select the mesh, and create a new material. I rename it White Eyes. Go to Edit Mode. Select all faces of the white part of the eyes. Select the White Eyes material, and assign it. In the shader editor, delete the principled BSDF node. I have two ways to create the white eyes. Here's the first one. Let's create a set of diffuse BSDF node, shader to RGB node and color ramp node. Don't forget to create separate color node as well. Plug each of them like this. I'm using the red slot of the separate RGB node. This is because the base color of body material also uses the red slot, so I apply the same thing to the white eyes base color as well. As usual, set the constant type, and make some adjustment to the color step. And this is the first way, so I frame them up and give it a name, way #1. Let's begin for the second way. Go to UV Editor. Go to Object Data Properties tab, and at UV Map section, I already set up 2 UV slot. Let's just focus on the white area of the eyes. I set the second UV slot specifically for white area of the eyes, so it dominates with larger UV map there. Back to Shader Editor. In this second way, I have already prepared a simple white eye texture, so I just create an image texture node and load the white eye texture. Create emission node. Plug image texture node to emission node and connect it to material output node as well. You'll see that the eye texture is not working correctly. This is because we have not input white eye UV slots data. To do that, just create an UV map node, plug it to image texture, and choose white eye from the list. It's worked properly now. Plug the UV map node to diffuse BSDF node above as well. Don't forget to frame them, and give it a name, way #2. Now we can freely choose which node to use. The main difference is in the image texture node. I will using the first way for now. Let's back to the body material. Next, we'll learn how to add a specific image texture to the body material. Create image texture node and put it above. Create UV map node and plug it to the texture node. This time select body from the list. Create emission node and shader to RGB node. Plug each of them like this. And then, I load the image texture with PNG format that I have prepared. Plug it to material output to preview it. And as you can see, the texture contains the inner ear color, a red heart shape, and white teeth. Let's framing these nodes and give it name, image texture. Create mix color node. Plug base color group to the mix colors first slot, and image texture group to the second slot. And we will use this image texture alpha slot to plug it into the mix colors factor. Press Shift Ctrl plus left click to preview it. Frame this mix color node and I will name it Apply Image Texture. Now, the texture and base color are combined, but not yet with the highlight. To include the highlight, we must plug the Apply Image Texture Frame node to the first slot of the Apply Highlight Frame node. Connected Light Color Frame node to the material output. Now, the highlight has been appeared up and also can be adjusted. The same applies to the light color as well. Next, we will create the outline. But before that I will demonstrate one of the way for creating an outline that I will not be using for this project and I will show you why. And I am not say this is a bad way in creating outline. It's just not suitable for me while this might be suitable for others in creating outline. Create an emission node. Choose a solid black color. Don't forget to check this back face culling box option. And give the mesh a solidify modifier. Put minus value in the thickness. Check both of these box option. We'll use material ID of 2 for the outline, as it's the third in the material list and the counting starts from 0. Let's take a look. You can see here, there's a slight gap between the surface and the outline. Either I'm not using it correctly or that's just worked like that. So, this is why I am not using this way. I clean up the solidify modifier and the outline material. I will show you one of more suitable way of creating outline. Create a fresh null node. Create color ramp node. Connect the nodes by plugging one into the other. And Shift Ctrl plus left click to preview it. Switch the color step position into white to black and don't forget to choose constant type as usual. Create a math node. And plugging them like this. And select the math node type to subtract type. And now, by adjusting this value, it control the outline thickness. And if I try to moving the red light, the outline have not reacted to the light source yet, and this is how to make it work. Duplicate this math node. Plug it to the second slot of first math node. Go to separate color node, take the red slot, and plug it into the first slot of the duplicated math node. Now, this value become the outline thickness controller. The good news is that we've successfully made the outline react to the red light. However, we still need to combine it with the other nodes to complete the setup. Let's reduce the outline thickness value a bit. Don't forget to framing the nodes for easier to manage, and I will name it outline. Create another mix color here. Switch the plug into the second slot, and use the same source to plug it to factor slot as well. This will become outline color controller, and let's just use black solid color for now. Let's frame the node and I name it outline color. Next, create the last mix color node, and put it like this to make it automatically plugged each other. Move the plug to the second slot. Set factor to 1. Then choose multiply type. Let's move this node closer to the material output node, and plug the light color frame node into the first slot. Time to frame this node, and I give the name, Apply Outline. Next, switch the viewport to camera view, and add grease pencil, scene line art. Go to modifier tab, select source type to object. Pick the mesh as the object. Adjust the line thickness. This line art will only display correctly in camera view. To match the camera's view to the viewport, enable the camera to view option. Let's take a look. As you can see, the outline is clean and precisely, without any gaps between the surface and the outline. Plus, it reacts to the light source as well, making this a more suitable way for my workflow, but we have not done yet. Next is make a single node to control all the setting just like was showed up at the opening video. Select all the nodes but don't include the material output node. Press Ctrl+G to group it as one. Now we are in a group node. And if you want to back to one level above, you can press this arrow icon. All the nodes we've created up to this point are grouped together in this node. If want to enter the group, you can press this icon. I arrange the nodes a bit. Hold Shift, plus use right-click mouse button, and drag it across a line to create a point on the line. This point can be moved around without affecting the nodes, making it easier for organize the nodes setup. Before we go to last fun parts, I will tidy up by organize the line a bit. Now, as you can see, this looks more clean and easier to manage. There's a node called Group Input here, and this node only appears inside a node group, and we'll use this Group Input node to manage all the settings we've just created. Let's try to plug it to the base color slot, and use the second slot to plug it into the shadow intensity slot. Press N to open up N panel, and select Group tab. We can do renaming here. I renaming the first as base color, and the second as shadow intensity. If we go to Material Properties tab, we can adjust the shadow intensity and base color directly from here, without having to search for the specific nodes in the shader editor. We still need to set up the controls for the remaining values. I'll apply the same method to the other value settings, and this might look a bit messy, but I will tidy it up once finished. I speed up the video a bit to save your watch time, and don't worry, you should still be able to follow along. I am just organized all the remaining controller settings into the Group Input node, just like I have done to base color and shadow intensity before. In the end, you don't have to search for these controller settings within the shader editor anymore, making the process more efficient and easier to maintain. After I have done with the setup, time to do last tidy up and organizing. This looks much better now, clean and more organized. But there is still one very last node that need to create it. Go up a level above. Create emission node, and put it between the two nodes. This emission node will serve as brightness controller, and I increase the brightness a bit. Let's do final check to make sure every setting worked properly. Now, all the controller settings are located here. You can adjust everything from here and no longer need to search for every settings in the shader editor anymore. So, this will saving your time and efficient. It is very nice. The outline is perfectly react to the light source. Okay, it looks good and perfect. This is the end of the tutorial. And please leave me a like, comment, share and subscribe my channel for more content in the future. Thank you for watching.